Perfect.
So, hey, Casey, it's great meeting with you. And for folks, for those of you who don't know who Casey Woodard is, Casey is the author and the creator of the Student Discount Program. And I'm real excited to have this opportunity to interview him here today so that you get a chance to learn why I think this is a phenomenal tool that for the right student can make an incredible difference. By the way, not only for the student, but also for the parents as well. And so, Casey, it's great having you with us today.
Thanks for having me, Dan. Really excited to be talking with you.
Yeah, so why don't we start by having you tell us about why you decided to develop the student discount online course?
Sure. So I guess I'll start with a little overview of what it is and then why I felt like it needed to be created. So just a little bit of background on everything related to what makes me an authority on this essentially is back in high school, I was a pretty abysmal student, to be honest. In the 10th grade alone, I failed math, history, and science. And, I had potential. I just wasn't using it really because I wasn't too interested. And then once I got to college, suddenly a switch flipped. And despite really not putting a whole lot of effort forth in high school, not getting good grades, being a model student or anything, I was still able to navigate college successfully and graduate with my bachelor's in economics at just the age of 19, and even graduated magna cum laude. So it's not like I rushed through it and just got the degree without putting in the effort and getting good grades. And really, I was kind of taken aback where I was trying to finish early. I definitely realized the value there, but I didn't even think I could do it that quickly. And it's almost as an experiment to see, could I do this again? I enrolled in a 30-month MBA program to get my master's in finance and graduated in just 15 months. So exactly 50% of the time.
Wow,
just
that's
months
awesome.
after I turned 21. Thank you. So that's when the switch flipped. I was like, oh, okay, I guess college can be hacked, if you will. Like you really can beat the system. So I was personally excited I was able to do that, but I didn't think too much of it outside of just, hey, I'm really fortunate and happy to have been able to done that, save a ton of money and gotten those qualifications pretty quickly. And then once I started going into the workforce, talking with, some coworkers, some friends, family, all of them were like, how did you do that? Like, I have a kid going into college. I want to be able to save 50% on their education. Like, you need to tell me the step-by-step of how to do this. And I felt like at first I was joking. People were like, you need to write a book. Like, you need to create a website, tell people how to do this. And that comment got made enough times that eventually, at some point they hit the tipping point where it's like, oh, people actually really want to know how to do this. And so that was the impetus for originally what started as a book. I started writing called Student Discount. It's available on Amazon. And then after doing that, I realized hey, this book is a great guide for the one specific manual of, hey, here's how to save a good amount of money on college. But even more people would be having questions about it. Hey, how can I do this? How do I do X, Y, Z? That I realized I need to do something way more comprehensive, way more personal, just the step-by-step. Here's how you just beat the college system is the way I use it. Colleges are charging $2,000, $2,500, something like that per class. And hey, I'm going to teach you how to get done with those in half the price, less than half the time. And just talking with people, it's realizing that there's a real need here to be able to redo the way college is approached. Normally, by the time people graduate, it takes them almost 20 years to pay off their loans. And half the time they don't even graduate. 33% of the time is actually the graduation rate within 4 years, and the other 67% doesn't even graduate within 4 years, and about 40% of them don't graduate at all. That's a problem.
Oh, it's a huge problem.
I want to help people approach it differently.
Yeah,
exactly. And so that's why this was created is, hey, without trying to word it weirdly, just frankly, I think my qualifications speak for themselves. I figured out a way to beat college, and I didn't want to keep that to myself.
What a great story. I'm so impressive to hear what you've done. So let's talk a little bit about your online course. So it's $997, which is a pretty steep price, to purchase it. Why should anyone spend that much money on your course?
Sure. Great question. One of the ones that I probably get the most frequently. And so the way that I tell them is, how much are you spending on any other course in college? Right now, everybody's attending Zoom University at this point. So every course you're taking is an online course. And how much are you paying for those? And like I said, the answer with college is you're getting a fraction of the education with it all being online, and you're still paying the same price. So right now, for all of your courses, you're paying about $2,500 for every course you're taking. And that could even be an art history 101 class through your college that you're paying over $2,000 for. What if you could pay just $997, which is, 40% of any of those other classes, and you could learn how to get rid of half of them for just a fraction of the price? So definitely I understand the upfront sticker shock. But what if this $997 ends up being about a $50,000 savings?
That's huge.
Which,
yeah,
according to the math of being able to save 50% on a degree, which is something I don't use that for shock value. Like literally, this can save you 50% of your degree. That's about the best return on investment you're ever going to get.
Oh yeah, absolutely
yeah.
incredible. So, why would somebody do the online course versus just buying a copy of your book?
Yeah, great question. And they are somewhat similar and compatible. The way that I've explained it before is that it's almost like once you're getting into fitness or working out, the book is like reading a manual on the form of how to do exercises, whereas the online course is working with a personal trainer. You're going to get a lot of value out of just reading the book and putting in the effort in general. But at the end of the day, your results are going to vary. And when it comes to, reading a manual on how to work out versus working with a personal trainer, the difference you're going to see is maybe a few extra pounds of muscle added or a few pounds of fat lost. But when you're talking about college, the slight difference in, doing it yourself versus getting that really personal, comprehensive instruction can end up being tens of thousands of dollars of a difference. So I'd recommend doing both, to be honest. But if you just had to choose one and the difference could be $10, $20, $50,000, I would do, get comprehensive, work with a trainer until you feel that you're able to do it on your own. And that's what I feel like the online course is compared to the book.
Yeah, and having gone through the online course myself, it is dynamite. I mean, you've done such a nice job with your videos and the different step-by-step details that you're giving, students to do. It's awesome. I mean, it's a great tool, which is exactly why we're talking about this, because I think you have found a sweet spot that so few people ever think about, to be able to figure out how to dramatically reduce the cost of the education. And that really leads to another question then, which is, what's the ideal time for a student to start the online course? And, is it ever too late? I mean, what if the kids are already in college? What if some of my students are already in college? What do you think?
Sure. Great question. So I guess there's two questions there, and I'll separate them, which is one, what's the ideal time? And two, is there a time where it's too early or too late to get value out of it? So I'd say the ideal time is around the time you're trying to make or explore your college decision process. So maybe, 9th, 10th, 11th grade, somewhere in there is usually around the time in high school where students start thinking, where do I want to go to college? I guess on a more overview level, what do I want to do with my life? And part of that is deciding, what college do I want to go to? What do I want to study? What sort of jobs do I want to have? And so the online course, unlike the book, isn't really just about how do I save money on college, but it's more of an overview. How do I choose a school? How do I choose a major? And we approach it from a multifaceted approach, which is not just, practically, engineers make the most money, so just go to school and be an engineer. That's not how you want to approach it. And we actually talk about, the psychology of choosing a school, of choosing a major. And so I'd say around that 9th, 10th, 11th grade, when they really want to get that overview of what will college be, what will it be for me, and then how do I attack it in the best way possible, is probably the ideal time. Too early might be anything before that. I really don't think that an 11-year-old needs to be burdened with deciding what they want to do with their future.
Yeah.
They should just go play outside at this point. And then if somebody's already in college, is it too late for them? Not at all if they want to learn how to save big on college. And like I said, at $997 for the course, which initially I understand seems a lot, if you even are able to get rid of one college course that you're going to pay $2,000 for, you've already made a 50% savings. You've doubled your money off that. So they're still going to be able to get a lot of value, even if you're still a junior in college, but you will be missing out, admittedly, on some of the advice, like how do I choose a school? How do I choose a major? And it's not just about, where do I want to go and what do I want to study, but also some of those do have drastic implications on how much money you could save on college because of different strategies available for you for, cutting classes down, saving a lot of money on the way that you're attacking your classes. And so you are going to be limited the later you start, but it's not too late as long as you are still in college to get a lot of value out of it.
That's awesome. Yeah. I mean, I can see it, just implementing one of your strategies can more than pay for the course, and make it work out. That's fantastic. So you and I have talked about this, but what type of student will get the most out of following your formula for success?
Sure. So I guess I'll break that, into two questions too, which is what type of student will get the most value, and then who will actually capitalize on it.
Yeah.
So if you follow the steps, I guarantee you are going to be successful, or at least more successful than you would have been if you would have approached college just the way your guidance counselor told you to. So anybody who follows these steps will get the value out of it. But like you're hitting on here, there are going to be a lot of students who might do the course and then not follow it. And so I think motivation is going to be a key driver in what they are going to see in terms of results. I talked about how the book and the online course might compare to working out. Well, you could have the best personal trainer in the world, and if you're not going to show up to the gym, if you're not going to put in the effort and you're just going to go through the motions, you're not going to see the results. And that's not the trainer's fault. That's, if you're going to put in the work, you're going to see the results. And I even relate that to back, I said that the course is like a personal trainer and the book is like reading a manual. If you're going to put in the effort and you're just reading the manual, you're still going to see more results than the person who has the best personal trainer and is putting in no effort. So like I said, my goal here and what I think I've accomplished is creating one of, if not the best resources for getting through college in the best, quickest, most affordable, most effective way possible. But at the end of the day, like you're pointing out right here, it comes down to the individual student, and motivation is the key. I told my story at the beginning. I wasn't a great student in high school, but when college hit, I was motivated, and that had nothing to do with intelligence. It had everything to do with I'm willing to put in the work. And I think a lot of students out there are willing to put in the work, and those are the students who are going to get the best results, not only out of this course, but just out of life.
Yeah, so it really does come down to that student who's willing to be proactive, not the student where mom and dad are always nagging them, to do this or to do that, because they've got to care as much about the process as mom and dad do, don't they?
Exactly. And the nice thing is, if you care, it will pay off. I know I've talked about, save big on college, save 50%, but I'm going to put this into strict quantitative terms. When I say save big, I mean, there were over 10 classes in college that I could have paid $2,000 for, and I paid exactly $89 for. So that's specific. I'm telling you, if you care about at 30, being able to put a down payment on a home or drive a nice car instead of, riding a bike from the house where you share with 8 of your roommates, 10 times $89 versus 10 times $2,000. That's a huge number that it's going to have on. Exactly. And a motivated student can capitalize big on that. And, if they're willing to think about where do I want to be at 25 or at 30, that student is going to realize how big of an impact this can have. And that is motivating, and they'll see the results.
So a lot of times people have this reflection back on themselves. Is there something that you would have told yourself back in high school that because of what you know today? I mean, is there something that you would have thrown out there, or what would be that same message that you tell students right now, just as far as what the opportunities are with this?
Yeah, I don't know if there's like a one-liner I would have, given 14-year-old Casey. I definitely, as much as I, make a sales pitch around, I wasn't great in high school and then a switch flipped. I wish I would have tried harder in high school. I wish I would have put more effort in, and not necessarily to be able to go to like a better school or gotten more scholarship money as much as, I'm very happy that I went to the school I did. It was extremely advantageous to be able to use all these strategies, but I could have gotten more scholarship money. I could have gotten into, more honor programs or anything. But just, I shortchanged myself. Definitely. I had to do some catching up, especially, I studied economics, and during undergrad, I got my master's in finance, and I failed 10th grade math. Like, I had to put some work in on the back end there. It's not like I went into college knowing all of that. And, if I would have worked harder in high school, I would have had an easier time in college. But I would have liked to tell him that, I don't know if I would want to tell him that everything is going to work out, because then maybe he would have been even lazier. But I think that's the thing to know, is that, performing poorly in high school isn't a death sentence on the rest of your life. Just like performing well in high school isn't a get out of jail free card for any bad decisions you're going to make in the future. But I do wish I would have tried harder, for sure.
Yeah, it's all about.
So I hope nowadays students know that.
Yeah, it's all about choices, right? And what you're saying is those choices can come later in life, and you can still turn out just fine. Yeah, so
exactly.
that's good. So is there anything else as we wrap up here that you think students and parents, because often it's the parents, of course, that are buying this course for their kids, need to know about the success they can achieve by following your proven formula?
Sure. So I guess I would step that back into just how can they succeed in college. And, you and I have had conversations in the past, and the number one thing I think we agree on is have a plan. And so I think part of that plan is, where do you want to go to school? What do you want to study? And how are you going to do this? So if your plan involves taking out a $250,000 loan to go to a school, if that's fine with you, that's fine with you. But we said earlier, only 33% of students graduate within 4 years. Only 60% even graduate at all. The rest drop out. Do you think that happens because they had a plan, and they followed it? Well, obviously not.
Right.
And so I just think the biggest piece of advice I could give anyone when it comes to college is have a plan, have a reason why you're doing it. And if you're fine paying full sticker price and that's your plan, then good for you. But if you start developing a plan, I think you'll end up funneling down to, I need a guide how to do this. I need to figure out how I can save the most money possible. I don't want to spend $2,500 to take an art history class, another $2,500 to take physics 101 if I'm an economics major, and compound that times 10 or 20 for every class that I took in high school, and now I'm paying cumulatively 30 grand to take again in college. I want to find out a way to pay $2,000 to take all of those. And I think that'll end up funneling down to student discount. And that's why I created it, so they can do that. But my number one piece of advice is have a plan. And I think if you start creating that plan, you'll eventually land up in, there's a better way to do this. How can I find that better way? And that's what we're here for, is we found the better way and we want to share it with as many people as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, Casey. Well, listen, I want to thank you for taking this time to talk through this with me today. And folks, if you're on the fence trying to decide whether or not you should do this, I'm telling you right now, as a independent counselor who's worked with hundreds and hundreds of students trying to navigate their way through the college process, if they had only had this plan, especially for, again, those students that are going to be proactive about trying to put this all together, this plan works. Okay, so using the student discount program absolutely works. That's why I'm a big fan of it. I encourage you to take a look at it. And if you've got that student that is willing to do the work, then jump on it, because you're not going to regret it. The money you're going to save, the time that you're going to save, and the opportunities that will come in the future are unlimited if you'll do the work and make it happen. So again, Casey, thanks for this time. Look forward to continuing to work with you in the future. Hopefully we can maybe have you on again to maybe try to do even something like a live broadcast or something. So thanks for being here.
Thanks so much for having me. Yeah, I appreciate it. Love talking about this, and I really appreciate having these talks with you. So thanks for having me.
Okay, take care.